Today's video is going to regard social listening from 2020 and all of the crazy things that happened that year. All things are for entertainment purposes only, and the topics we talk about are going to be from multiple perspectives and maybe considered or perceived as conspiracy theory, but everyone is entitled to their own perception, so therefore, hence social listening is going to cause multi-perspective views. So yeah, enjoy. We're going to be talking about 2020. Today it's time to talk about 2020 because it's 2024 and a lot of things are still happening that should have been like a part of a conversation or noticed in 2020. For example, we all know what's going on around the world, like Gaza, Congo, and a bunch of other places around the world. People are finding out that their taxes are going to genocide and everything else under the sun, but also to the pandemic, the thing that got a lot of people scared, was very interesting. So let's do a little play-by-play. We also have visuals too, because and tell me why a lot of the stuff disappeared. I had videos of people protesting that were not on the news. People were protesting to get salons open, and then which I thought was interesting because I remember a lot of people, everybody loves to say, oh, let's stop talking about race. Oh, like if everybody quits talking about it, everything will get better. And it's like, no, it won't. Because race is continuously used as a tool to market products and goods and generate publicity. So yeah. And also too, if you really think about it, just like if you listen to various like cultural stories and like, you know, things that happen to different people, you'll notice that a lot of the stuff, it's like very similar to the next culture. Like, yeah, and the whole black and white thing is actually, race is a social construct because it's not the same everywhere. Nobody around the world, like people say this all the time, like anytime you travel around the world, they don't ask you, like, they want to know your culture, like if you're Nigerian, if you're Haitian, if you're Polish, Russian, Chinese, Canadian, like kind of thing, or like Mexican. They want to know your culture, not like, oh my gosh, well, you know, I'm American. Like, anybody can be American. Like, anybody. Yeah. In some places, it's like, by how much money you make. Like, I know in Brazil, I think is it Brazil? I need to brush up on my anthropology, but I think it is Brazil that you're considered a white man depending, oh no, we're not a white man, but like a white person depending on how much money you make. I believe it wasn't it, I swear it was a Brazilian soccer player, his status changed from black to white because of the money that he was making. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like that's so interesting. And then you have like caste systems and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of systems. So I have a bunch of videos I found. I hope you guys can hear the clicks in the background. So 2020, okay, so January 2020, there was videos. I noticed a lot of everything started out very weird. As soon as like 2020 hit, the first few days, like weird stuff was happening. And I was watching this YouTuber and he said 2020 is gonna start with a bang. It's gonna start with a bang. And they were talking about World War III then. Now we're starting to hear more information. Like, well, at least in 2023 we were hearing about World War III. And then there was like a lot of talk about China has a spy balloon or whatever. And we're set to, like, basically they're making war dates for 2025. And I'm just like, one second China's the big bad wolf, so is Russia, and then 5 seconds later, which doesn't make sense. Why aren't you trying to make your own stuff? Everything we have says from made in China, which is why a lot of people were confused when they were trying to ban TikTok. So you're going to ban the one of the only social media platforms that has everyone connected. Generations of so many people said they don't like TikTok. They weren't going to use TikTok. Older people, younger people, and like it's that one social media that will get the quietest person to speak. Like seriously. People talk about it all the time. Well, I usually don't comment, but today I did. It's that one social media platform that will literally make an introvert speak, an extrovert. Oh my gosh. Okay, like you guys get the point. But no, seriously. So so the first few days of 2020, they were talking about World War III, and then also the coronavirus. So I saw on, my grandmother was listening on Facebook. My grandmother's a baby boomer. Yeah, so she's like late 60s. Yeah. So, but the baby boomers, the older generations, and even like my other, there was a lot of stuff going on Facebook that would like be considered conspiracy theory or whatever, but it really wasn't, because they were even showing too, let me just get to the Congress video. So the Congress video, I'm not sure if this person was in Congress or not, but basically, remember when they were trying to be like, oh my gosh, China didn't warn us about the COVID-19? And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, they did. There was I'm not sure if they actually did or not, but there was literally an American spokesperson or someone. They were in this conference and they were literally saying that I don't want to say conference, but it was like they were speaking, like there was some type of like meeting, like it looked like a Congress meeting. It sounded really professional, and he said with an American accent, when you all were asleep, the coronavirus swept through China and spread by 30%. He said the coronavirus increased by 30% and swept through China last night while you were asleep. Increased by 30%. Did that not sound like something to maybe like, oh, I don't know, be alarmed of? Like, people went months, 3 months went by, and like, cause I was just like, okay. And we actually went to California at the time, and there were a lot of East Asian travelers too. Like, I'm not sure if they were like American or not, but a lot of people were wearing a mask, which is very typical too, because it's part of the culture to like not spread germs. So like they'll literally wear a mask all the time and like not even cough once. But a lot of people were coughing. A lot of regular people, every day, just people in general, were coughing during that time. Yeah. And then like fast forward around spring break, like I knew we weren't coming back. So yeah. And then I had this English teacher too, which was really interesting because he actually had respiratory disease, and he said that if he even gets COVID, like he's like done. Like he made a joke about it, but COVID, pneumonia, and the flu, those are all respiratory issues. So yeah. And then so like we already knew we weren't coming back to school. Well, I already knew that because I was like, okay, no, because like they were already saying things in January. Yeah, but the thing is, I thought it was weird because I was like starting to get worried and was like, oh my gosh, like something's really wrong, like something's different. Nobody else was paying attention. Everybody was just shopping around, going into the store, and like it was a regular day. Like, oh my gosh, we got 2 extra weeks. Oh my gosh. I was just like, really? Now, like by the 3rd week was just like, okay, like, yeah, I don't think we're going back. Like, no, something's different. And so The thing is, okay, so I was like the only person that was like, oh my gosh, we probably need to get gas mask. We need to get like some, like, I don't want to say, is it hazmat suits? What are those suits that like, remember when, was it, what, it wasn't malaria. It was, yeah, but anyway, anytime there's like some type of like new virus or breakout or whatever, like people will put on like those suits to protect themselves in the hospital and stuff like that. Yeah. Not even just hospital, but just like in general. I forgot what was that disease. It wasn't malaria, it wasn't H1N1, it was like one of the ones that were like, oh, it's from Africa. Yeah, so we've been out of school for a few weeks. The school basically said like, yeah, you guys are not coming back. So they kicked us out flat out. They were like, oh yeah, you guys need a few days to get out. If you guys need to stay a little longer, like, you know, basically you need to like contact the office or anything, because we did have international students. I think some of the first people that got sick, well, I'm not sure if it was rumors or not, but like they were international students. They were like, oh my gosh, they're upstairs and they're sick. So I'm just like, okay, like, how do you know that's not a rumor? Because like people make up stuff all the time, especially in like fear-based crisis. Like when there's a lot of fear around, people will just like, it's just amazing what people will make up. And it's like, that didn't even happen. The news wasn't reporting everything. I thought it was really weird too. So here's the thing. When I was like the only one freaking out, my mom was like, oh my gosh, like you need to stop. Like I wasn't like freaking out like, oh my gosh, like but I was just like expressing concern. It was like, don't you guys think that we should be getting prepared? Don't you think that we should like, I don't know, start buying Lysol and stuff like that? And pretty much everybody was just so nonchalant, as if like, you know, they were just waiting for somebody else to give them like the go signal. And then once the news started reporting everything, that's when you started seeing all of the adults and like the parents flip out and start. People were wearing like the craziest. People were going to the store with gas mask on, and we're just like, oh, now you want the gas mask. Like when I was saying something a few weeks ago, everybody thought I was crazy. Yeah, people were making masks out of feminine napkins, bras. People were making up all types of masks. Like, seriously. Yeah. People had bandanas over their nose and everything, and I was just like, really? And then you know what was crazy too? Something was really wrong, because like this is like, oh my gosh, like they were on the news talking about how like this is so dangerous, and yeah, this virus is like out of control. Like, but universities were getting shut down in the US by like February, so like months prior. Most places did not start shutting down until like April, May. So it's like, okay, like what is going on here? And then by yeah, so then, but here's the thing though, everybody had time to protest. Like there was a lot of things like police brutality, race issues in general, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. Why in the world would such things happen during a time where people are oh so worried about the literal human race? Because remember, this is so deadly that they literally shut down everything. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it's just like when the news was like, oh, when I say jump, everybody's like, how high? I'm like, did you really need the news to tell you? Like, the flu season is every year. Like, you should know, like, anytime you hear a sickness or anything, you should get ready. You should have the Lysol wipes or whatever you use. And then on top of that, it took people a really long time to start realizing that they need vitamins to build up their immunity. People were buying all the food. Like there was actually food shortages because some people just started stocking up all the food. And then because I was also doing Instacart during this time too, and like it matters, certain areas were getting stocked before others. So like the wealthier areas that were higher tax bracket, those had like more like the water would come in faster. Like there would still be things missing and stuff, but like it would come in way faster compared to middle to lower class surrounding towns or cities. Should I say cities? Yeah, it's by population. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Like nobody's writing about this. Like, you know, that could have been like a journalism topic, but like no. Nobody was writing about that. But yeah, but I have like a bunch of videos and stuff to show you guys. Things that I took, and then some of the stuff is from like Twitter or X. Yeah, a lot of the stuff disappeared though. In regards to conspiracy theories, there was a lot of theories going around. Now here's the thing about like a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory is something that like the information almost makes sense, but there's like some holes in the stories. Like no matter what you do, how you look at it, something's missing. It could almost be true, but something's missing. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that's deemed conspiracy theory, it's actually supported because like make it make sense. Now some people, a lot of the debate was going on that like people were like, oh my gosh, like this is fake, corona's not real, I haven't seen anyone that was sick. Because the way that they were using on the news talking about it, they were making it seem like it was the Black Plague, like we were gonna see piles of bodies, people falling out at stores, and it was nothing like that. I remember there was a guy on the news and he had COVID as well as his daughter, and he was just crying like it was like the end of the world, like they probably weren't going to survive COVID. And I was just like, that's interesting. And then it was also in the news too how people in like DC, they were actually making a lot of money by manipulating statistics to scare people, and a lot of people actually did make money from like anyone who invested in any type of antibacterial products, soap, Lysol, like their stocks went up. They made a lot of money, which everybody was like, oh my gosh, we should have invested in soap, like oh my gosh, like yeah. Also, did you know too that you could invest in the vaccines as well? So that was another thing too. There was also talk about that the investors of the vaccine, they wanted to get their money back, so like they wanted to hurry up and put this stuff out there. So here's the thing. People did get COVID, but like they amped it up. So there's just way too much going on for it to be a world health crisis. And a lot of people were questioning if it was real or not, which why is that a bad thing for them to question if it's real or not, when you see that they have state troopers and all this other stuff? Like, why in the world are you having to protest? And then Breonna Taylor, I've seen a video on 𝕊𝕐𝕗's channel. I saw it like 2020, like it was a really good video. It was like 6 hours long. I took a few days to like watch it in like sections. So first he was talking about George Floyd, and I was just like, how could he say that he doesn't think he's unalived? Like, I'm not sure if you can say deceased. Yeah, but yeah, he said that like he's yeah, it was a stunt. Now here's the thing. I've never heard anyone get that much money, and black people die every day. People struggle to get their loved one's name in the newspaper, let alone on the news. Anytime you see an Amber Alert of a missing, it's really hard to just get your like anyone's name out there, especially if they're melanated. Like, yeah. So like all the money that his daughter was getting and everything, like I thought that was a bit suspicious. And because like they were trying so hard to put Breonna Taylor's name in the news, but George Floyd's name was in the news, but nobody mentioned Breonna Taylor. And then they were doing everything but getting the officers arrested too. And like even like the situation surrounding George Floyd, the officers, as well as there was a Facebook video. My grandmother showed me this Facebook video, and this guy was talking about how the people that were picking up George Floyd's body, they actually weren't real EMTs. I think that's the word. acronym. Yeah, so they actually had like these white vests on, and like I didn't even know how to use like the machine. Like I don't know if I can find it or not. A lot of stuff has deleted. Even things that I had saved, I'm just like, is my stuff disappearing? Because I'm just like, I swear I had like a bunch of videos. But yeah, like one guy didn't know how to use the machine. I was like, that's kind of bad if you don't know how to use a medical machine to resuscitate someone. That's very important, you know? Like he was scrambling. I've never seen anyone do that. Like that's kind of like a part of the job. Like you have to stay under control as much as possible. And then there was also talk too about the cops knee being on George Floyd's neck and him saying, I can't breathe. But people were saying like, well, if you actually been choked before, like, you know that like you actually can't even speak. So like that's technically like not true of like all of his airways. Like so he's technically getting some air. If anyone is getting air if you can actually speak, if someone's choking you. At least during the time of speech there was some airflow in order for him to say I can't breathe. It's like, why would somebody do all this? Like just to show it did have people enraged, it did spark chaos, and this was the thing that kicked off a lot of stuff during the summer. Nobody paid attention to Pride Month or anything. Like people barely said a word about that because it's kind of like, how dare you bring up such things when we're having a world crisis. People were protesting all around the world. And then like once the protests started after the George Floyd's death, then you start seeing elderly people get pushed. That video's gone too. I have not seen that video on. I saved a lot of videos, and like every time I look back I'm just like, yeah, that was a weird thing to have going on during a world health crisis.
You guys ain't even from here. You can't relate to our plight. You can't relate to our problems. You're not even from this neighborhood.
Hey, what did you see? What did you see?
I just saw a woman get her head bashed in because she tried to walk away from an officer and she didn't walk away fast enough. I saw a man exercise his constitutional right and say 2 words, and about 30 officers jumped on him. That's what I just saw.
So we had time to brutalize the public, but the whole purpose of everyone being shut down was for safety, yet everything continues to contradict the whole reason of a global health crisis. Like why would, like, and the amount of people that died, are you serious? Of
the 7-3 precinct. She says he asked her, was shoved by Officer Vincent 𝕊𝕚𝕒 of the 7-3 precinct. She says he asked her to step out of the way. She did, but asked why.
Why?
And this happened. Police Commissioner Dermot Shea announcing Officer 𝕊𝕚𝕒 has been suspended without pay. And because of that, the supervisor is being disciplined as well, transferred from his precinct.
Although I'm happy to see that this officer is no longer on the streets and he's no longer capable of doing what he did to me to other people, I am nowhere near done with this situation. He needs to be fired. He needs to be charged with assault. I think that Officer Vincent 𝕊𝕚𝕒 is a coward. He should never be allowed to wear a badge and gun again.
Was shot
in their face. Police pushed them back.
What they do is stop killing black people, and then you wouldn't have any of this fucking shit in the first place.
Pepper spray.
Period. I find it interesting how Twitter was like the only platform that was showing the real protests and what was going on behind the scenes, and how people were paid to pretend to be BLM.
And this fight for all humanity. God, let us have the strength of our ancestors, Malcolm, Martin, and Muhammad.
My rights, just like Aretha Franklin, I demand a little R-E-S-P-C-E-C-T.
It's like workman's
But we have to exude peace, for our strength requires perseverance. For our
Summer 2020, we learned so much information. We learned all about law, sociology, psychology, like everything, manipulation tactics, media censorship. Everybody and their mother was doing some type of social listening. Social listening is basically gauging the conversation surrounding a topic on a social media platform. So basically what I'm doing here with Twitter, X. So yeah, everybody was doing that, and it's so interesting, the conversations that are going on.
Companies, cynical, soulless, craven corporations like Pepsi, Intel, and Airbnb are funding this chaos. They're giving money to Black Lives Matter, which is pushing to defund the police. But it isn't just major corporations that are fueling all of this. Celebrities are too, by paying to get violent rioters out of jail. As we read through this, we're going to scroll through their names on the right side of the screen. First off, actor Steve Carell from The Office donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which is providing bail to rioters. Seth Rogen, Don Cheadle, Janelle Monáe donated as well. The cast of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a police comedy, gave $100 grand to help bail out people who may very well have attacked those they portray on TV. Hollywood power couple Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds donated $200,000 to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, a group that is claiming that any violence is due to cops, not protesters, right? Rapper Lil Nas X urged his 4.7 million Twitter followers to donate to bail groups in Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia, and elsewhere. Imagine if he had used those followers instead to help small businesses destroyed by the riots he helped incite. Maybe city.
His name.
George Floyd! 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 George Floyd!
Drop their badge off and their gun and just say, fuck. Please hear me out, please. This job, this isn't like the cops where they can just drop their badge off and their gun and just say, fuck it, they're done with this. We cannot do that. As much as we want to, we cannot do that. Do you know what could happen to us if we just decided to drop the uniform, drop the guns, and protest? Federal prison, Article 92, Article 15, y'all don't know nothing about that because you don't got to deal with that. We do. We will get fucked up. We pretty much signed our life away. Our lives aren't to do whatever we want with it anymore. We're basically government property. I can guarantee you a good 80 to 90% of those people don't want to be there. They're there by orders. Like, they're only there because they have to be, not because they want to be. It's just not as simple as y'all make it sound. Please.
If COVID-19, coronavirus, the pandemic was like that should be illegal right here. This lady, she wasn't following the social distancing and then she coughed on this man. Yet, You didn't see anything about her arrest being in the news, because isn't that attempted murder based on the way that they were marketing, using scare tactics, basically trying to say this was Black Plague energy. Like, that's attempted murder basically. But as you can tell at this point, everything that was mentioned in the video thus far and the visuals of the protest and everything, you could just tell that's clearly not the case and not true. And then people question like why about like the vaccines and everything. Like, everything has been about politics, and like these were like valid concerns and questions. Like, I even read a article about Bill Gates. He was talking about that he was not pleased no country had like a perfect score on how they handled the preparedness for the pandemic, and so they're trying to work on pandemic preparedness. I don't know about you guys, but like something about that did not feel right to me, because like, I mean, just look at this stuff that happened. Like, this is not even everything. We're not even talking about the media censorship and the doctors that were being shadow banned on the internet for reading their Harvard medical books, Harvard medical textbooks. Let's be for real. And these doctors have also administered the COVID-19 vaccine, and yeah, but there are a lot of doctors on payroll and just will tell you anything. I seen a post on Instagram recently talking about a doctor that has diagnosed over 500 people with cancer who actually never had cancer, but were given chemo treatment and medications to cure cancer that they never had because of profit and greed. The post said that the doctor made approximately $17 million or more just from these false diagnoses. That doesn't tell you that some people only have profit on their minds. Yeah, but like a lot of the conspiracy theory and the peer pressure, stuff like that was like building up. But here's the thing, they had statistics going like almost every other week. Every time you turn on the news, you're hearing new COVID-19 updates and stats on the death rate and the number of people that died. But a lot of people, I was hearing mixed reviews saying like some people are like the hospitals are actually empty. Like, there was a hospital down the street from our house, actually two, really. One hospital nobody ever goes to, and then like the other, because like it's always empty, so it's just like, is this like a decorative hospital? Like, what do they do there? And then like the one like down the street, like literally 2 minutes, that was like 2 minutes from our house, and that one had like, it had a few more cars than usual, but still, like when like one of my family members had to go in there during COVID, and like there wasn't a lot of people, and it was just like, huh, but there's more cars, which was interesting. So it's like, okay. So the statistics, yeah, I remember that like when they were talking about China and like COVID-19, they were trying to make it sound like I swear I can't find the news videos or anything. Internet shares are real. Because like, I guess they don't want people pulling this stuff back up anymore, because it'll just make things look really, really bad, especially with what's going on today, because people are gonna start like, you know, realizing like there's a lot of things going on in society, and it's just like, why would you guys go through the trouble and spend all the money trying to do this, distract and manipulate the people, especially during such a dangerous time? Like, yeah, I remember there was a image and they were like, oh, like view at your own discretion, and it was like a bunch of like snakes or whatever. Like, it was just a very like bloody mess, and like they were kind of like making it seem like, oh, like this is the effects that COVID-19 has on animals. And because remember, they were trying to say like, oh, it started in Wuhan, China, because someone ate a bat soup. But did they not also say like HIV/AIDS started in Africa from a monkey, and because some guy wanted to eat a monkey and he chopped it up, and he had a cut on his hand and had some of the virus in his bloodstream, so he was technically like the first human to contact HIV/AIDS, and then he shared the meat with other villages and stuff down the river. Then it made its way into the city with the prostitutes and everything, and it's just like, But other people say that they believe that it was like genetically, it was engineered to remove certain bloodlines. Because if you really look, Africa and India has a lot of testing that goes on. It's like, it's not even just Africa and India too, like here, Puerto Rico as well, just various all around the world. And then also too, I was surprised like there wasn't a increased influx in because they were also trying to say that like COVID-19 was affecting Black and Hispanic communities mostly compared to like the other cultures, and it was just like, really? I guess they were trying to just get more Black people in to go get the vaccine. But a lot of people were kind of like apprehensive, but like this, not even just because of like the Tuskegee trials, which like they were doing unlawful like testing. But you know what's really weird? After there was a really big protest, I believe they were saying that it was put on by 4 teenagers. I think this one took place in Tennessee, and they were like, oh my gosh, like this is like the largest protest, and like they're talking about how they're trying to get more people to stay inside, don't go protest, because like this is the world health crisis. And then I was just waiting for the charts to spike. Nobody ever reported a spike. COVID is actually real. I actually had COVID. Just like anything else, it affects everybody differently, because like some people, they lost their sense of smell like for months after. They were basically saying that like you're more likely to have symptoms, or the chances of you ruining your body forever can increase if you don't get the vaccine. But there's a lot of people there was one of our family friends that has never been vaccinated, and a lot of the unvaccinated people that we know, they actually had like very light symptoms. And then like some of the people that like it really depends, because like I've heard people, they had vaccine accidents from other vaccines and they had to relearn how to walk, and it was from flu vaccines. The peer pressure tactics, I have a video, this guy, he was explaining one of his like theories about like what was going on, and like some of the theories that people had, they actually did come true. And because this guy, he was saying, he was like, oh, I think they're actually getting ready to come out with the vaccine, and they're trying to prepare everybody to take it. And then like martial law as well, and people were talking about like they're trying to get rid of our rights and control us.
This challenge could be overwhelmed healthcare system. They have officially shut down New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and say that you can't go nowhere where there's more than 50 individuals in any type of establishment. Is there a coronavirus? My honest opinion, no. It may possibly be. I don't know. However, what's quite flabbergasting to me, and I'm down here in Miami trying to enjoy myself, but what's flabbergasting to me is how in the entire fall are you guys gonna sit here and say something that is not even more severe than the flu that everyone experienced once in life, the flu? How can you sit here and possibly shut down the whole entire world? I told you niggas, they are trying to enforce martial law. They're going to quarantine everybody in every city, every state, that they're trying to make you stay in your home and put fear in you niggas. Martial law. What they're trying to do, and it's just my opinion, these things may not happen, but this is my opinion. What they're going to do, they're going to come out with a vaccine that they're trying to make everybody take. And what's in that vaccine, I don't know. But what my gut feeling is telling me, with the book of Revelations and the Bible was speaking about the mark of the beast, they're going to put some type of chip inside of this vaccine, and they're going to try to put it inside of you. It's quite amazing to me that over 1,000 CEOs, billionaires from companies have resigned from their companies. Microsoft, Bill Gates resigned from Microsoft 2 days ago. The CEO of UPS, she's resigned from UPS 2 days ago. Walmart take $40 billion of their own money and transfer it from their stocks, not stocks, they transferred it to their personal trust funds. Why? Why did the CEO of Disney Walt Disney stepped down last week? Why did the CEO of MasterCard step down a few weeks ago? Why did the CEO of Uber step down? Why did the CEO of Wells
and control us? And we're just like, haven't they already been doing that? Because I mean, like, before, and like, you don't know what happened with the New Deal, because like, people were also talking about that recently. And also too, why is it so bad to talk now and have questions? Because in like the 1900s, the last century, 20th century, it was very normal to question what's in your milk. Like, they got a lot of stuff removed and taken out of the milk and everything. Like, this is just like speaking of agriculture, like American agriculture. It's really funny how nobody knows thy neighbor anymore. People are afraid to question and talk about things. And like, why is it like everybody's trying to like blame society? And it's like, what happened to people having like their own mind and being strong enough to stand in a room with different and diverse opinions and perspectives? Like, if you mean tell me you can't maintain like your own perception without it being influenced? Like, if you there's nothing wrong with you changing your perception about something, but like, don't just change it because somebody else said something. Change it because there's valid reasoning. Like, somebody asked you, oh, well, why do you think that the pandemic was planned? You're not just gonna say because you saw some video or your favorite celebrity thinks so, or whoever. Like, you're gonna say like with some valid like reason, like, oh, well, like, there is a lot of stuff going on. Oh, you know what's so interesting too? When like the AIDS pandemic happened too, they lied as well and said that like, oh, we didn't know that it was happening, we didn't know this was a pandemic. And so like the stuff like 1979, 1980, people were starting to get sick, and like, yeah, but they didn't say anything until like 84, 85. So it's like, and the same thing happened with COVID, because people were like, oh, we were all sick like the second half of 2019. He's like, oh, I started college then, so I thought it was normal, but a lot of people had like the flu. A lot of people were actually inside of their dorms a little longer than usual, because usually like around that time everybody gets sick and stuff, and like allergies. Yeah, like the enforcement of masks. Oh, and how come every time, so like when things started opening back up, there were, you know, the 6 feet is like a safe distance, like everybody has to be 6 feet away, 6 feet away. And like some people thought that it was because of the 5G and they were going to put RFID chips in people via vaccine and like the mark of the beast. So there was like a lot of like perceptions like rolling in theories based on like religion, politics, technology, and like based on if you pay attention to history and stuff like that, like you really think everything changed? Oh, they don't do that anymore. That's what they want you to think. All this stuff is rebranded. Like, why are laws being changed and reverting back if we're moving forward? Make it make sense. Like, people have always had shotguns and guns in general, like that's part of like American culture, but yet now parents are running around trying to figure out how to make their kids' backpacks bulletproof, because you just never know. You have to be apprehensive when you go to the mall. And then it's really funny too, because like how come like we know that there are all of these ads that are pitched to us, the things that populate on social media, your conversations are being listened to, yet anytime something happens on the news, they're still like, oh my gosh, such and such. They're saying that they're basically like saying that the suspect has a very interesting search history that supports that they had this planned out for weeks, if not months. So you're listening to us all, but you mean tell me that you don't have this under wraps to stop and protect this? I think a lot of this stuff is actually planned, because we think about it, the population decrease and everything. They've had some weird stuff come out as well. When I say that they have had some weird stuff come out, I mean like the articles predicting over 1 billion deaths due to climate changes. And then the 2030 Agenda article, like if anyone has ever read that before, they took that down. They had that up for like a year or so maybe. Yeah, that sounds very like the movies and TV shows that we watch, and people, when you talk about this stuff, so people are still like, oh, well that's not real. That's not gonna happen. Well, why every single day more and more things happen that we see on TV? It's predictive programming, and it's slowly happening. Like The Simpsons, like really, the amount of things that they have said that they've predicted, if it wasn't from like a presidential election, a natural disaster, public issue, 9/11, mass destruction, make it make sense. How do they even know that 1 billion people are gonna? They had an image too of them moving, like there were like a bunch of caskets, and they were saying that the government was caught moving 1 billion caskets. We can even talk about how Corona was also already printed on your Lysol cans and sprays, and just pretty much even Clorox, anything antibacterial. Corona, COVID-19, whatever, it was already printed on the back of the bottles. And you know what's interesting too? I'm not sure if I already mentioned this or not, but one of my grandmothers, she actually said one of her coworkers back in 2017 had COVID. She said, oh, I had a coronavirus, because she was sick for a few weeks and she couldn't figure out what was going on, so she went to the doctor and they told her she had the coronavirus. And then on top of that, they've also said that they've been working on mRNA vaccines for over 30 years to try and get the public to calm down about the vaccines, but a lot of people are very religious and, like, you know, they learned about the mark of the beast. So there was a lot of pushback when it came to that. Some of the issues that are happening in 2024 were also happening in 2020. So in 2024, there's a lot going on. So we have, like, the media is still basically doing the exact same thing, using the exact same blueprint to make certain groups seem vicious and unworthy of protection, attention, and help. Palestine, Congo, Sudan, and the exact same things are going on, and they'll use the media to try and justify everything that's going on, and when it's not right at all. Basically what is happening is history is continuing to repeat itself, and they use the exact same blueprint and just rebrand it so it looks different. Same thing with slavery and racism. Like, you live in modern slavery, but because in America people are used to seeing black and white, oh, we're not in modern slavery anymore because black people aren't slaves. No, everybody's a slave. You don't own anything. You don't own your house. You work to the bone, and then somebody else decides where your taxes go, where your money goes. Exactly, like, most people don't even know, like, their rights within their own country, and that's sad. Like, really, like, there's always something, like, I'm learning, like, new every day about, like, some loophole in the law.
Get out of here! Get out of here now! Fucking private property! Hey, we got it right out here.
Press! 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 I'm pressed.
I don't care. Get down.
I am pressed.
I don't care. Get down.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down.
Stay.
Go inside.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am pressed. Please. I was just sprayed in the face with pepper spray. Currently have my head on the ground.
Get up. Get in your car.
Okay.
Get up, right? Get up.
Okay.
Okay, we need more guard on that.
This tweet right here says, stop retweeting videos of police hugging protesters. It's propaganda. They are kneeling with you, authorizing tear gas. Moments later, they don't care about the people. They care about pictures for the media. This tweet right here is really interesting because it connects to today, because the media is so powerful. Everybody's trying to put on a nice face even when they're doing bad deeds, and everyone's watching, like, we see what you're doing, but you're trying to make it look like you're like the innocent individual here. Hence Starbucks 2024. The past 2 weeks, I've noticed that Starbucks has been making commercial advertisements that are super similar to Chick-fil-A's. Chick-fil-A typically has either workers or real customers that they use for their ads to connect with the audience. Yeah. And I noticed that Starbucks has been trying to emulate that to connect with the people again. But how can you connect with the people when you have been outed for supporting genocide? You are among one of the many establishments that have been supporting genocide. But you want to connect with the people, but people are starving and being unalived and deleted, bombed. It's not even just Palestine, it's also Sudan, it's Congo, it's Native Hawaiians, it's also Americans, it's Puerto Ricans, Native Indigenous Americans. People all around the world are being mistreated. Women all around the world. Lack of human rights. But we're supposed to sit here and comply with all of this stuff when we see all of this stuff is happening. Different things are everybody's struggling in different ways, if not similar ways, especially in regards to food and housing and finances.
Within the last 15 minutes, mounted police have been coming down the street. You're going to see them in the frame now, using flashbangs in front of them and mounted police to clear what has been an entirely peaceful protest. Not 98%, not 99%, but 100% peaceful protest here today. People there was no throwing of water bottles, there was no throwing of objects, but a short time ago, mounted police officers have been clearing the street. Tony, if you can pan to the right, I want to show the military police. I want to show the military police on the side of the street. Over the last half hour, we've had military police, we've had Secret Service officers, we've had park police, and now we've had National Guardsmen lining the fence. They've been stepping up closer and closer and closer over the last few minutes. You can see them lining the fence. Just a short time ago, we heard them firing those pepper balls into the crowd here as they've been trying to disperse people. You can see these officers aiming at the protesters who are here in the park as we're being cleared back along the sidewalk here in front of 8th Street. Again, from where I stood, I could see absolutely nothing. Hang on a second here. Ma'am, are you all right?
No, she's not fucking all right, man.
I got hit bad.
All right. I had to pull the mic there, but you could hear her say she got hit bad. Look, Ari, obviously this is an incredibly volatile situation here, and we're going to try to keep our distance from it as best we can. But this is by far the largest law enforcement presence I've seen in this park in the last 3 days, and by far the most aggressive action I've seen by law enforcement in this park in the last 3 days. At no time that I've seen Ari in the last couple days.
Garrett,
in the last 15
You're outside the White House where Donald Trump is about to speak. It's getting a bit tense.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go. They're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely.
Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, are you okay? Or your cameraman? Hello, Amelia. The police just charged at Amelia and our 7 News cameraman there, and looks like a policeman just punched our cameraman.
Which is interesting because they're not discriminating between protesters and the media here. Amelia, can you hear us yet?
Amelia, are you there?
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. You heard us yelling there that we were media, but they don't care. They are being indiscriminate at the moment. They chased us down that street, and as you see, they were firing these rubber bullets at everyone. There is tear gas, and now we are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman, Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment.
So this is a Target that burned down, and one of the tweets somewhere in here said plot twist, and the person basically went on to say that they think that the government actually burned down the Target to frame the protesters or just to flat out stop the looting. But I actually did have a video of like, there were these two girls, they spray painted BLM, and the girl that was recording, she was just like, you guys aren't BLM, like why are you guys doing this? And they just proceeded to spray paint this brick wall with BLM. And this isn't the only, like, the 2020 protests weren't the only times where people were getting paid to protest and just do chaotic things. Like, it's a thing that people have even stated that on the news. And in 2024, people are highly passionate about human rights and boycotting businesses that support genocide. But everyone is pro-Palestine, and you mean to tell me that in 2020 we had Starbucks and Target get burned down, and the most we have seen was maybe some spray paint on like the Starbucks drive-through menu or killer on the side of a brick wall. So as of now in 2024, I do agree with the tweet that this was most likely a plan by the government to burn down the Target because it just doesn't make sense. And on the news, the Target that was burned down was actually used to frame the protesters and the Starbucks, because it had to go with the narrative that, oh, the protesters are so dangerous. Looking back on these videos, I find it interesting that in 2024 there still talks about border control and border security. Yeah, this was something that was of major concern in 2020.
Issue of immigration than anybody.
The border is closed, the border is secure. The border is secure, the border is closed, the border is secure, and the border is not open.
We have a secure border.
I can tell you the border is secure.
By what measure is it secure now, sir? So there is not a common definition.
The president has done more to secure the border and to deal with this issue of immigration than anybody else. He really has.
We're certainly doing a lot more to secure the border.
As you know, the president has done everything that he can. He's done that alone without the help of Republicans.
Why aren't you guys stopping the flow at the border?
We are stopping the flow at the border.
Secretary Mayorkas, do you continue to maintain that the border is secure?
Yes, and we are working day in and day out to enhance its security.
The removal of Title 42 does not mean the border is open.
The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system.
We have done a lot of work here to fix this system.
I think the message is, in fact, not to come to the border.
I don't think the more than 1.5 million people who have been removed or expelled from the border would consider the border open.
Somebody walks into Texas or Arizona unvaccinated, they're allowed to stay. Why?
But that's not how it works. Like, we actually, no.
I know that that's not what you guys want to happen, but that is what is happening.
But that's not, it's not like somebody walks over and that's not how.
Exactly what's happening.
Has anyone heard of Anonymous? Because I've never heard of Anonymous until 2020. But after seeing a lot of their videos pop up, they remind me of F Society from Mr. Robot, and apparently F Society is based off Anonymous in the show. You should go watch Mr. Robot because that's a really good show. During this time, Anonymous had a lot to say, and the public agreed. Even if they did not verbally declare that they agreed with Anonymous, the actions of the public reflected that. The police brutality in general was at an all-time high. Even people in other countries were protesting against the police brutality issues within their country as well. It wasn't just Americans, and you wouldn't even know this unless you were on Twitter or some kind of social platform.
Officers who kill people and commit other crimes need to be held accountable just like the rest of us, otherwise, they will believe that they have a license to do whatever they want. You will claim that this is just the work of a few bad apples, but what of the officers who stand by and do nothing while they commit offenses against the people they encounter, and the police departments like yours who refuse to prosecute these criminals as they would one of the citizens that they are sworn to protect? People have had enough of this corruption and violence from an organization that promises to keep them safe. After the events of the past few years, many people are now beginning to learn that you are not here to save us, but rather, you are here to oppress us and carry out the will of the criminal ruling class. You are here to keep order for the people in control, not to provide safety for the people who are being controlled. In fact, you are the very mechanism that elites use to continue their global system of oppression, and the world is finally starting to wake up to this, and they are becoming increasingly angry every time they see blood needlessly spilled without consequence. These officers must face criminal charges, and Officer Chauvin especially should face murder charges. Unfortunately, we do not trust your corrupt organization to carry out justice, so we will be exposing your many crimes to the world. We are Legion. Expect us.
Look how many fucking this killer's house. Look how many. Look how many fucking people are defending this killer's house. Look how fucking many are defending this killer's house. Look how fucking many are defending this killer's house. Look how fucking many are defending this killer's house. Look how fucking many. Look how fucking many. Look how fucking many. Look how fucking many are defending this killer's house. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. Look how fucking many. They're defending a murderer's house. They are defending a murderer's house.
This upcoming video is another reason why I believe Target and Starbucks being set on fire back in 2020 was a staged thing. It's because, one, nobody was reported harmed or injured from this instance. Yeah, a lot of this stuff was used in the media to make protesters look violent, as if BLM was a violent protest, but in reality it was actually people that are being hired to pose as BLM, and they were some of the people that were mostly doing the destructive stuff.
What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
This is the kind of behavior that we see when it comes to crisis actors and just protesters that are paid to be in a specific place and do destructive things. They'll tend to stand around and kind of look confused on what to do next, but they know that they're there to do something destructive. Oftentimes there's a camera, clearly, so it can make the news, the media, or whatever, in order to incite rage in the public. I haven't seen this one on the news, but they also, some people were saying in the comment section that this actually had nothing to do with the BLM protests, but it was still recorded. A lot of people were doing different things just to, as you can tell by this entire video, everything was very chaotic. Like, none of this is about the reason why everybody had a lot of free time and was shut down in 2020. This is all about politics, money, creating false narratives that aren't true, dividing the people, and just mass manipulation. I actually want to state that the homeless man in this video is actually a real homeless man. He actually ended up getting new stuff, but when I was referring to how the paid actors operate, I was referring to the people in the background. Just as you can clearly see how people are acting very nonchalant and just doing very destructive things. What is the typical behavior that I typically see when there's videos where people are just doing out of the ordinary things?
They got the professor.
It's like a full sticker too.
I think it doesn't make sense while it's here.
You got to light it on fire? He's lighting it on fire. He's lighting it on fire. Back up. They got to light it on fire? Yes, very good. They're about to light it on fire. Yes. Move. car does not make any sense. Yo, there's this cop car right here that they just lit on fire, but this cop car looks old. This cop car is not a new cop car. This cop car was just here. This cop car was not a new cop car. This is an old cop car. They just lit it on fire. It was just sitting in the middle of the street. Right next to a gas station, perfect. That's the plan, though.
Let him go! Pigs!
Fucking cowards! There's 30 of you that want to be out!
You're fucking pigs!
Let it go! Fucking let him go!
Even with the media games and propaganda, there were actually a lot of unity amongst the American people and real allies. However, that is not the depiction that was displayed in the news. The news displayed division, chaos, and mass destruction that most of the time had little to nothing to do with genuine protesters.
That's my secret. Wait.
In 2020, media censorship was also a major aspect of what was going on in 2021, because when the vaccines actually came out, there was a lot of media censorship, like skyrocket. But I found this video recently, it's from TikTok, and it was like Bill Gates talking about how he's pretty much disappointed in every country around the world because no one has handled the pandemic preparedness properly as much as he would have liked, because just basically a lot of people didn't take the vaccine. A lot of people were very apprehensive about it, but he also has a track record too that most people don't talk about with other vaccines, like prior to 2020 COVID-19 vaccines. And then people also found it weird and distrustful that he made himself like a medical director during this world health crisis. And then there was Dr. Fauci. There were a lot of congressional conference videos with Dr. Fauci getting questioned about COVID-19, and he was just dancing around some of the very important questions that a lot of people, it could either make or break the confidence within the vaccines and just the medical advice at the time. So yeah, he wasn't really selling the story, and he was going back and forth on what is and isn't important. 1 week masks are very important and detrimental to the public health, and then the next few weeks he's saying, oh, they don't do anything. So it's like, and then he's just going back and forth, just like teetering, tottering around certain questions. Yeah, but he was giving a payroll doctor, let's be for real. Pretty much everybody that was connected to Bill Gates during this time, including Bill Gates, they weren't really anyone with common sense and has the ability to think for themselves. Like, this is why the fear tactics were supposed to come in, because you're supposed to make those decisions about your health and take the vaccine without thinking about it too much. And that was the whole purpose of the fear tactics, to get the public to comply with whatever is being said and going on. And some people were saying that the whole thing was a test just to see who will comply. There were a few people that also were talking about, there was this psychic lady that predicted, there was this one psychic lady everybody was talking about that predicted COVID-19. She said there's like some mysterious disease that's gonna spread like wildfire, and then it's gonna go away, then it's gonna come back around like 2030, and then it's just gonna go away forever. But then there was also talk too that like this 2020 is a repeat of what happened in the 1920s. They also had masks and a major pandemic, but I believe that was a Spanish flu. And then following that, the Great Depression happened. So like all that stuff kind of connects, but it's just like, because like now we're talking about inflation post-COVID. So
Now this was an interesting case test of people's trust in their politicians or their health system. And statistically, we didn't do as well as I would have expected. In fact, I'm cited as some, mastermind of some evil plot in many, many cases. So no, I didn't expect any of that. In some ways, the politicization of, taking vaccines and helping protect other people, you could almost say that's a step backwards. I hope vaccine acceptance for other diseases like measles is not reduced by this. But, a lot of people jumped in and took the vaccines, but a meaningful minority in most countries were led down a path of believing that not only were there rare side effects, but that the vaccine wasn't properly tested or was part of some evil conspiracy.
But if you really think about it, in history, Europeans were known to, like, it's literally in the history books, nobody talks about sickness more than the Europeans. Like, people got sick. Sickness is a thing. People got sick, but not at the rate of when Europeans started traveling. Like, people were dying in droves. Sickness was even weaponized to colonize lands. And even today, sickness is weaponized against the people, which makes them continuous customers with Big Pharma. Take weight loss and acne, for example. 10 years ago, in like 2014, my mom was preaching to me and my sister about how, oh, when you guys get closer to like 18, 19, or your early 20s, you guys won't have to worry about acne anymore, because it's like a very hormonal thing, and you're going through puberty and stuff still. And then even she had like clear skin, but then she started experiencing adult acne. There's changes in our environment, in our food, in our water, that a lot of people are noticing now, but nobody was thinking about that a few years ago. Like, very few people were. And even the food, like, the school that I went to, they took gym class very seriously, but I never lost weight. And it's because the school lunch, a lot of the stuff, like, we're perceived to, like, think that, oh my gosh, it's so healthy, but if you think about it, none of the stuff is healthy. And then, like, all these weight loss programs, everybody's trying to tell you how to lose weight. But how can you properly lose weight when your water has additives and your food is trash? Even the fruit. You can't even find seeded grapes. Most of the fruits don't actually really have seeds like they used to in the early 2000s. In high school, our teacher was telling us about the FDA and how once the government got involved with the food, people started blowing up Because remember when America had skinny soldiers? They were trying to figure out how to bulk them up. And then once the government got involved with the public food, people started blowing up. Like, a lot of people were pretty fit naturally. Now people are out here running with this rhetoric like, oh, you eat too much, you do this, you do that. No, that's not everybody's reason for being overweight. A lot of this stuff is packed with a crazy amount of calories. A lot of my friends that like grew up like, you know, they're pretty much thin, they kind of have guts now, like really fluffy. Even some of the YouTubers I have watched, like, you're starting to see people blow up. And if you think about it, like, a lot of people, Starbucks is a trend. Starbucks has a lot of sugar. A lot of these places and foods that we eat have a lot of sugar. But everything I just mentioned literally ties back to business. People are making a lot of money off of weight loss programs because America has a weight issue. Obesity is an issue. Acne and skin problems are an issue. Everyone's trying to figure out how to get glass skin. How can you really have glass skin in America? You need to have a water filter. You need to eat organic everything. Like, you need to like basically change your entire lifestyle. Like, you can't really eat the fast food because you don't know what's in it. You don't know if what's going on, if they run out of a product or if something gets changed out or swapped, and then suddenly things are tasting different, and then your body's reacting to that additive differently. But Bill Gates and many others are businessmen, and the thing is to create the problem and deliver the solution, and this, they're getting money. Same thing with like the vaccines. He's made various vaccines, and yet people still got COVID from taking the COVID-19 vaccines. And a lot of people actually had symptoms, the same similar symptoms, whether they took the vaccine or not. So like, what's really the deal with this? But they won't tell you that on the news.
During an interview with Bill Gates, a female news anchor asked him a question. Can you define the secret of your success in one word? Then instead of answering that news anchor, Bill Gates took out a checkbook from his pocket, gave a blank check to that female news reporter, and asked her to fill the amount she needed. The news anchor got nervous and said, "No, sir, it is not like this. Maybe you did not understand my question." And then the news anchor asked the same question in a different way. But this time also, Bill Gates again gave that blank check in the hands of the news anchor and said, "I will really sign it. Just write the amount you want in this check." The interview was live on TV. That's why the new anchor refused to accept the check. Then Bill Gates tore the check and said only one sentence. "This is the secret of my success. I never miss an opportunity like you just did. If you wanted, you could have become the world's richest news anchor in an instant, but you missed the chance." And this is also true, because some people believe that Bill Gates had not invented anything special. The basic program and operating system were the ideas of someone else. Bill Gates just observed the pattern and kept adding it. There will be a rain of opportunities in life. Learn to connect the dots just by observing the patterns.
This video put the previous clip into perspective, as it really gives you better insight on how he perceives things. He has more of a analytical business mindset compared to what people really need to hear when it comes to medical practices and procedures that they're going to consider taking. You can't be super analytical. Like, you also need to understand where people are coming from. Like, if you know people are apprehensive about taking vaccines and you're just passing everything off as a conspiracy theory, but you fail to realize that people are connecting the dots on your history, just as you said, you purchased the code and connected the dots to observe the patterns. People are observing the patterns on Bill Gates' history with vaccines. In India, tribal girls were told that they were getting a wellness shot, but it was actually a HPV vaccine that has never been tested. So these girls were the guinea pigs for this vaccine, and a lot of them were told things like, oh, like, you're never gonna get cancer, you're never gonna get sick, and just all of this stuff. But some of them actually ended up dying. Some of them actually ended up developing cancer and getting sick. And so they were essentially a part of a test. Like, these girls were the guinea pigs, just like the African American males in the Tuskegee trials that happened in America. Apparently Bill Gates has other vaccine related instances, especially things surrounding the polio vaccine in India as well, and lots of stuff going on in India. So he is not seen in a bright light over there. But I noticed that, like, the conversation and, like, comments, like, when people talk about this stuff on different social platforms, people will be like, oh, well, this is such a smart business tactic, like kind of like praising him. But I'm just like, we need to be careful, like, who we praise with, like, when it comes to, like, business and everything, because you don't, like, your credibility is so important, because people, like, this is not like, maybe, like, you could get away with this, like, 10 years ago or so, but, like, people are starting to remember, and they're, like, tallying things up. People don't care if you are the Pope. Like, they will remember, and you will disregard it. But this is why there's such a drive to keep the public stupid and dumb, and the reason why they also don't want the children to know anything, because the school curriculum has also changed. This next video is an interview with Dr. Vandana Shiva, and she talks about Bill Gates and India. So yeah, she's also from India. I thought the Bill Gates section was interesting to add because, one, it was a really big he was a really big part of 2020, as well as a part of the vaccines. One of the people that were really heavily driving people away from the vaccine and the politician trust, because, like, if you don't put someone up there, like the stuff that was going on with, like, Dr. Fauci, and then, like, the shadow banning, like, literally every single thing that's in this video, you don't just sit there and do that and then turn around and question why the public doesn't have trust within their politicians, because you're basically essentially saying that I'm allowed to purchase my spot, I don't need to have the proper education for this spot, I just need a few connections and to use my wealth and and I can just have a seat anywhere. But you can't really do that when it comes to people's bodies, so it just looks uber sketchy. Nothing very profoundly medically educational. And given the history and the business tactics, we are this is like the Euro-American society. Like, let's be real, the Pilgrims are from Europe, so, like, yeah, the European business tactics and mentality, they were sending people over here from Europe, offering land if they would bring their women and children over. That was a business deal. Make it make sense. And then people are shocked why we prioritize business now in modern day society, because we are in the profit over all else society, the Euro-American society. This is not the Native American society, because otherwise we'd be more connected to nature, and one with nature, one with God. We'd be on that more spiritual society.
In those institutions, yeah? But now, because of his clout, he is taking control of the agenda of the institutions, meantime pushing patenting, whether it be on drugs or on vaccines or on seeds. So big pharma, big ag, big poison, all one. And Bill Gates is holding it all together even more and trying to make them bigger, because he has investments in all of them. Let big tech not enter our bodies. Let big tech not enter life sciences. These guys will make life illegal, you know? Living will be illegal, except as a little piece in their machine, under their permission.
Well, this wraps up this section of the video because this is pretty much the cherry on top of everything that was just previously said in the other clips as well as my dialogue. The tech industry had a major connection to 2020 because even Elon Musk was out there talking about the mRNA vaccines and how he was saying that basically they can turn you into anything that they want. Like they can turn you into a butterfly if they wanted to. When it comes to like the wealthy and the elites, there's like this strong like want to become God or like some type of like divine, like basically like God's creation, like humans. There's like a strong connection to try and manipulate that, and you can kind of see that like when you hear all these celebrities about like, you know, selling their souls. Why do you want someone to sell their soul and to worship these low vibrational entities? Make it make sense, because if they really had power, like why are they trying to put so much satanic and demonic stuff into children's TV shows now? And then even too, like sometimes I just like think about like different aspects of the Bible, and I'm just like, you know how like they're like, oh well, you're supposed to fear God, but I'm like, God's like, if God's your father, like why would you have to fear your father? But those who are outside, like, you know, working with the bad man, low vibrational entities, and worshiping the other. I'm talking about like, you know, they're not with the high vibrational divine light. Those individuals, it seems like that they struggle to find power, so they can only get it by manipulating and using the power that those who have the ability to naturally manifest without sacrificing people, or doing just like low vibrational like stuff. Like they can, like people that can actually manifest from a state of happiness, and not of like anger, sadness, depression. Those people are like who they try to manipulate. And I think that's why too, like there's been so much fantasy stuff in kids TV shows, but like now, like you notice that there's like less of that, and it's more of like blunt. Just even like some of the stuff on Disney, like it is not friendly, not kid friendly, and the stuff is not even entertaining, and it's just like, wait a minute, like you guys are doing the most. This day was interesting because there were blockades, there was the SWAT team, there were cops, and even helicopters in the air, as you're about to see. So today was a great day to film because like now I have this amazing footage. I knew that we were living in history after a certain point. After, I'm pretty sure if you made it this far, you can kind of tell that, yeah. You can tell early on that weird stuff was going on if you were paying attention by the way that people were moving. So it wasn't a bad idea to record, but my grandmother's always saying that like, they've invested a lot of money. I doubt they're gonna let anything go down. That's crazy. But at the same time, there were like maybe like one or two people like walking around or like riding bikes and stuff like that. And like I don't really see people riding bikes that often. Yeah, it's, I don't know. It was summer, so, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are trying to be nosy to figure out what's going on, because I know I was trying to get this footage because I'm like, we're living in history at this point, so we might as well record. The cops or SWAT team, someone sprayed something in the air because we were coughing and choking, and like, so as you can tell, we were going up and down like the trying to get footage and stuff and see what's going on, because like this was like really weird and out of the ordinary. Like we've never seen the SWAT team. This is Indiana, like seriously, like this is like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? But at the same time, it's like, what was the purpose of that? Like there were a few people riding bikes and walking, but I haven't seen anything about a protest. So like, how are those people standing up perfectly fine without whiffing the tear gas or whatever they sprayed? So when the tear gas thing happened, see where the cops are right here? We were actually on that side of the road because we were leaving to go back to the house. So yeah, they must have sprayed something because they're driving away now, as you can see, but they were just standing there. And like we were driving up and down getting footage and stuff, trying to see what's going on, because this is very out of the ordinary. This is Indiana. We don't see the SWAT team in all of these cop cars. Some people on Twitter were saying that ICE was spraying some type of mysterious substance in the air that was causing people to bleed from the eyes and ears. And I think that's true, because I mean, like, the fact that this happened in Indiana, like, you can just imagine what was going on near the border and other places. Like, there's so many videos of police brutality going on at this time. But I was just wondering, like, what was the point of doing that? Especially knowing that I feel like that was like a dangerous hazard, because our eyes were basically closed. Like, we could like try and open and see, because you still have to turn the corner and get away, but it's like your eyes are filling up with water and everything, and it's like you can just imagine what the other surrounding cars were going through, because most people have their windows down. It's summertime, the weather's good, why waste the air? None of this was in the newspaper or even on the news, which I thought was interesting. Like, they didn't even mention the SWAT team being at the mall or anything. Like, I thought that would have, yeah. And then the helicopters and stuff. I thought that would have been an interesting news segment.